Now, I support having kids, of course, just to make it clear. I don't think necessarily, but I think that having fewer school hours in a day is good for Kenyan kids. I don't think that means that we're going to get more kids doing interesting stuff, because we need to change the entire education system for that. And I'm not talking about CBC. I'm talking about like properly letting kids explore. Because the thing about CBC is that it has its heart in the right place, but this would only work for private schools. Like if you like this whole thing about having kids like being identified at a young age, right? So you're like, oh yeah, this one's gonna be a footballer, so let me put him in the football class. But if you have teacher to student ratios of 1 to 300, it's gonna be really hard for any given teacher, especially in public schools, to correctly identify the hidden talents of every student.
They're probably gonna use shortcuts at that point.
Exactly. So we're still gonna get some weird factor type bundling, and the CBC won't work. It'll work in private schools where teacher to student ratios are much smaller, but then this means private schools will be charging a premium, and for parents who cannot afford that, then they have to take their children to public school.
There's a very interesting show. You've talked about that, and there was also this, sometimes these questions come up and you wonder if there's a correlation between the wealth of the education versus the outcome of it. There was this show, I think it was a documentary on BBC, was done in the UK, that was examining the quality of education between private schools and public schools. And it did turn out that the kids from the private schools ended up being more successful in life than the ones from the public schools, but not necessarily because of the quality of education.
Okay.
But because they had also extracurricular activities that opened up their minds to different kinds of thinking. Obviously, they had more networking skills and more confidence. And things like that.
I would imagine that will be true, because I mean, ideally public schools and private schools, whether in the UK or in most other countries, follow the same curriculum. So you're kind of learning the same stuff. But in private schools, like you said, there are a lot of extracurricular activities. Teachers can give you more personalized attention.
Yeah.
They can connect you to their network, because these teachers also have better networks and whatnot. Schools are going to take you on interesting field trips, or take you to things like the Model United Nations, where you get to
be a mailman or
exactly. So there's like so much that goes on, on the periphery in private schools. It just gives these people an advantage.